Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another StarCraft 2 cast with me, the Strict StarCraft. And this time I have a replay sent to me by a good friend of mine, ZookaMan, who I actually met on Castit, the subreddit, and he's been casting some replays from there as well. I don't know if he casts anymore though. He's just chilling out with StarCraft, so he was like, hey, do you accept replays? I was like, sure. I can cast them. So he sent me a replay, and this is apparently his first game in Legacy of the Void ever, so we're gonna check it out. And he plays random, so spinning up to the top right, top right, yeah, representing rival, it is ZookaMan. And in the bottom left, god, I get so confused because the mineral patches are turned to the right, but it's bottom left, it is Jscvalor, I guess, I don't know, Blue Terran, is that good enough? So yeah, we have a PvT coming up, and PvTs I haven't seen too many of, unfortunately. I mean, disruptors are a thing against clumped up units, so I guess they're going to be used. And also adepts have been a thing for quite some time. But we're gonna see what ZookaMan is going to be doing. I think this Blue Terran player is in Silver League, and as you can see, he has made a slight mistake already here with the gas. He has only got one SCV in their mining. And he prioritized apparently getting the second depot to block ZookaMan from entering. Oh, can the second pro get in? No, that's good. He doesn't want that anyway. So yeah, ZookaMan is going for the gate opener right now, and yeah, I think this Blue Terran player can definitely work on his build, and a tip is to not chase a probe with 3 SCVs. Doesn't really benefit you a whole lot to do that. And now he's going for the NG Bay. Okay, so I think we can conclude that this Blue Terran player doesn't really know what to do in this game so far, and ZookaMan has taken a small probe lead already, going for the very standard gate with the Cyber Core, of course. He has yet to drop down a Nexus. What? ZookaMan. That's a massive misclick. Income, dropping down. But okay, no worries, that happens. So yeah, neither one of them has to drop down any command centers or a Nexi. I think it's Nexi? Nexuses? So they're both going to be on one base for quite some time. A sentry is coming out from ZookaMan, which is an interesting choice. Not a personal favorite of mine going for the sentry here. Of course, it gives him a few more minerals to go for that Nexus. Like if he would have gone for the Stalker, he wouldn't have been able to afford the Nexus. So kind of understandable, but at the same time, the sentry doesn't really do a whole lot, doesn't grant him any map vision whatsoever, and the force will, I would say, isn't worth it in the early game. Sure, it can be good against like early marine pushes perhaps, but he only saw 1 barrack, so he isn't really expecting, I think, a very early push. And the Blue Terran player here is going for a factory follow-up with 1 Hellion in production, which is kind of non-standard as well, but I like it. I like Hellions in PvT. They are very underutilized, I think, and they can deal a surprising amount of damage to any probe lines. So if these Hellions manage to get a run by into either the main base or the natural of ZookaMan, then they can deal a ton of damage if they reach a critical amount. Robo coming in from ZookaMan. I like this decision. It's a very standard choice. Even though we've seen a lot of Twilight Councils coming down recently in PvT, I mean, everyone transitions into Robo eventually, basically, so going for a Robo first here, I really like the decision. Gives him early disruptors and early observers for scouting. Now, what I like about this Terran player is that he's actually spending his money. What I would like to see is a command center come down, but he's actually using his money and ramping up his production. He's just not staying on 1 barracks trying to produce with like 1500 in the bank. No, he's building stuff, and that is the most important thing, I think, in StarCraft. Just producing a lot of stuff, so at least he's got that going for him. Unfortunately, though, he is going to end up far behind in the economy as soon as ZookaMan's expansion kicks in, and has sort of already done that, so unless he goes for an attack pretty soon, or expands himself, he's going to find himself far behind. But he's got +1 and combat shield timed out pretty nicely here, and the medevac is in production right now, so he may want to go for some sort of combat shield Hellion push. Unfortunately, adepts are pretty good against that, and I was going for a second starport, which is kind of peculiar. And yeah, as I said, adepts are pretty darn good against any light units out there, so I don't really know about this push, if he's gonna go for it even at all. Yeah, then the command center comes down. Once again, this double starport thingy, I'm speechless. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why he's going for it. It's not that weird or anything, but it's just kind of uncommon to do. Double forge coming down from ZookaMan, that's a lot more common. But I wouldn't say it's optimal if he wants to get out heavy gas units as well, such as the disruptors. He does have quite a bit of gas banked up, so shouldn't be a problem since he's already starting these guys just down here on the low ground. But going for a War Prism right now as well, and War Prisms are basically what's keeping Protoss alive in Legacy of the Void, from what I've heard. They're really easy to use due to the new pickup range, and they're pretty fast and agile as well, so you can warp in anywhere and just drop multiple places. They're really good, and adept drops have been terrifying in PvT so far. And ZookaMan is a bit low on the adept count if he wants to go for something like that. May just be a sort of gateway push out here, 6 minutes. And since he's got a decent gateway count, no, he's a bit low on gateways. And as you can see, he's starting to accumulate a bit of minerals there. I'd like to see at least 5 or 6 gateways when you're up in 2 bases to really be able to spend that money. So I would like to see a couple more come down pretty soon. +1/+1 coming in, dropping down both chronobos on that. Definitely like it. Okay, instead of going for the gateways, he is opting to go for that 3rd base. But therefore, I think this attack is going to be kind of a failure, to be honest. Let's have a look at the armor supply. It's 29 to 23. And he's going to have to push up a ramp with a lot of sentries. And as I said earlier, sentries aren't the best in head-on combat. I mean, they don't deal that much damage. Guardian Shield is nice, but force fields can't really be utilized when walking up a ramp. So we'll see if ZookaMan can take this engagement at all. He is moving up right now. Supply depots are under fire, but with these 2 medevacs right here, if the blue Terran just engages properly and not with just a few units, then he should be fine. War Prism coming in here down right, but it gets sniped immediately. And the Jscvalor is holding this off. As you can see, the sentries are falling very quickly. And now with the sentries gone, there is no Guardian Shield. There is nothing to keep this army alive. ZookaMan backing off, definitely the best decision there. But I think he lost a lot. Yeah, resources lost is 1200 to 400. And that is what keeps our Terran player in this game. See, it's still far behind in the economy. As you can see, very low on harvesters compared to ZookaMan. Immortal being produced right now from ZookaMan. Immortals are really good nowadays, don't get me wrong, but they're not the optimal counter to this kind of marine heavy composition. So going up to disruptors is something I would like to see from ZookaMan, but at the same time, disruptors are really difficult to control. So getting splash damage with the other units such as the Archons or High Templars is understandable if that is what ZookaMan is aiming to do with this Templar archives. Also getting up to charge, so it's probably going to be some sort of charge lot Archon composition, which, I mean, it's a great composition, works basically against every race, works against Zerg, like Roach Hydra, charge lot Archon works, it works. I mean, Archons are really good against biological units, so there you go. It works in PvP for sure, like most of it is charge lot Archon with like Immortals and eventually Colossi, but mid-game, that's what it is. At least it was in Heart of the Swarm, but now disruptors have kind of changed that. That's true. So very good, potent composition for sure. But he's also going for the adept, what's it called? Attack speed. So we'll see what it decides to do with this one. Jscvalor could definitely work on his SCV production. He's a bit low on SCVs here, down on the low ground. Could also drop a few mules here. But he's piling up quite a bit of minerals nonetheless, so it doesn't really matter that he's not dropping down mules. He's got enough money for now. But ZookaMan has got to be really pleased. God, he's got to be really pleased with what he sees here with this probe, seeing the fact that there is no 3rd base from Jscvalor, and that for some reason gives him the guts to go for a 4th base of his own. I would be kind of scared. I would be like, okay, there's got to be a huge 2-base push coming out pretty soon. So I don't know if I would go for a 4th base. I would be comfortable enough to stay on 3, since I know that I'm still ahead. But ZookaMan is going for it, and for now he is safe. He is not that far behind in the armor supply, and as we all know, Protoss can warp in a whole bunch of units whenever they decide to, if they need to. Fleet Beacon is coming up as well, and ZookaMan is only on 1 Stargate, so I don't know if he's going to be dedicating that much into air right now, or if he just wants to like have the tech available. He is researching +1 air attack, which is kind of cool, something we rarely see in PvT. And if he wants to go for carriers, that would be fantastic. I love carriers in every way, but it's gonna take him a while to get that crucial amount of carriers up. Now, our blue Terran player is finally starting to move out on the map, at least slightly. He has had these mines out for quite some time, but ZookaMan, he knows what's going down. He knows that our Terran player is moving out, so he knows that the 3rd base is not quite there yet, but it is completed, and it's probably going to move out relatively soon. There's the first carrier in production as well, and a 2nd Stargate is being produced. And now ZookaMan is going for the 3rd and final upgrade on that Twilight Council Lee Blink, which is a lot more common than charge and adept attack speed. It can be used in basically every single matchup as well. Thor's coming in. I don't know, Thors aren't really that great in PvP at all, but they're kind of cool, I guess. And they do tank a lot of damage. What I'd like to see from our blue Terran player is, you know, if you get tech labs, utilize them. Don't just build Marines from them, because generally you want a Marauder heavy composition against Protoss, since they're going to be heavy on Stalkers for the most part, or just be able to tank these Storms which deal 80 damage. And that's what Marauders can do. Marines can't really tank those Storms, so having a lot of Marauders is very nice in TvP. So a couple more barracks, drop the mules down, get the income rolling, and just produce a ton of Marauders, basically. He is doing a nice job of keeping up with the upgrades, though. He's only on 1 engine base, so that is really nice. Gotta hand it to him there. But ZookaMan, he is on 2-2, is currently researching 3-3, so is he? No. Yes, he is. So he's going to be slightly ahead in the upgrades as soon as those finish. But it's been a very like slow game so far. No one's really moving out. ZookaMan, however, is about to be maxed out. And as we all know, generally when you're maxed out, you want to move out. When you're maxed out, you can't produce anything. You can't produce a single unit. Of course, you can research upgrades and drop down more gateways and production structures, but you can't produce any units, and there's no point in chilling around waiting for your opponent to max out when you're maxed out yourself. You just move out, try to trade with this army, try to trade cost effectively, and then remax as quickly as possible to take another engagement, get even further ahead, and remax once more before your opponent can, and eventually you win the game. That is kind of how I see it with maxed out armies. But the thing is, ZookaMan is going to be slightly behind still in the armor supply when he's maxed out, compared to when the blue Terran player is. Since our blue Terran player is so low on harvesters, he's going to have a huge army by the time he reaches 200 supply, and that could turn out really bad for ZookaMan. I would say I do think ZookaMan can trade a lot more cost effectively. He's got better upgrades, or he's going to have very soon, and he has Storm, and he has a lot of Storms. It costs 75, so 75, 150, 2 on each High Templar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 Storms as this army moves out. And as I said, he's going to be able to trade very cost effectively, but it needs to keep his army together. As we all know, the Protoss is the strongest when it's all in one ball. But here we go, steaming forward right now, our blue Terran player is, and no Storms are available right now. Force Field's coming down, at least one. Storm, he needs a Storm, he's not controlling properly. There we go, a couple of Storms coming down right now, right on top of this Terran army. And he is going to be enough. Yeah, it's going to be enough for ZookaMan to push through. Without those Storms, he would have lost that engagement badly, I think. But he dropped the Storms in the end, and it all turned out great. But that was a close one, and I do think our Terran player could have taken that if he would have engaged in a better position. He did clump up his units a lot in that sort of choke right here, turned into some sort of choke with that one force field. Now ZookaMan, this is his go time. He's moving out. He's ahead by roughly 100 supply. And what can our blue Terran player do? Not a whole lot. He's got a couple of Widow Mines spread out here, which I love to do in PvC, or in TvC rather, because rarely is the Zerg player, rarely has he got like Overseers following his army constantly, so you can still get very nice shots off. But that's not the case with the Protoss army. The Observers are basically as fast as the rest of the army. So they're always there. The Widow Mines can't really get the shots they need. But here we go, a couple of shots coming off, still dealing a lot of splash damage to this clumped up Protoss ball. And he's pulling back to a planetary, which he's secured himself here at the 3rd. But yeah, it is going to be enough to push this back. But at the same time, he's so far behind in the economy. ZookaMan is doubling his harvesting count. So I don't know, man. This is looking pretty grim for our Terran player buddy. Terran player buddy, yes. He's not called buddy. 5th base coming up from ZookaMan as well, really trying to get further and further ahead. When ahead, get further ahead. That's basically how it all works. So this is a 3-3 Protoss army. He is lacking those shields upgrades, so it gives the upgrade advantage still to our Terran buddy here with the +3, +2. He doesn't need to research any shields, just the armor. But now ZookaMan, as I mentioned, is going to be maxed out very quickly, and he can just move in right now. There's no need for him not to move in. As I said, you can't really produce a whole lot when you're maxed out, so just go for it. That's what I like to do. Waiting for this carrier to join in, perhaps. But at the same time, he's giving Jscvalor or Valor, someone has to tell me how it's pronounced. He's giving him a lot of time to reinforce his army and really build up a decent army. But now with so many Archons moving in here, he's pulling back to the planetary once more. He can repair it, and the planetaries can be really tanky, but he needs to pull back. There we go, pulling back further now. Repair the planetary. No, he's not repairing it. So there we go, the planetary falls, and that was basically his last chance at staying alive. GG is called, and ZookaMan is going to be taking his first game in Legacy of the Void against this silver player. So that was a pretty straightforward game. We saw a lot of cool units like the carriers and like Storms and Archons, so that's the beauty of Legacy of the Void. I think we get to tier 3 really quickly with the new income update and stuff. So hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed ZookaMan specifically. I'd love to have more replays from you. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.